Welcome back, guys, to
Jen's Journal.
Jen's Journal. Jen's Journal.
Wednesday, the 26th of February, 2014. Well, it's been a while and so much has happened, so I'll be brief. Snippets of what I've done from Christchurch. I picked up the boys, woohoo. So lovely to see them. Then it was the drive to Motueka, where the time was filled with meeting Sarah's lovely family, kayaking, Golden Bay, Abel Tasman, waterfalls, wine, wine, wine. Not whining, as in a glass of wine. The beach house was amazing, lovely seeing Andy and totally comfortable. Then another ferry ride back to Wellington for the wedding, which was amazing. Sarah looked beautiful and the wedding had a real movie theme at the Roxy Theatre in Miramar. Met some lovely people and not so lovely. Sat next to Liz/Amy. Apparently she changed her name. She's a nurse who abruptly told me that she did not want to talk about fucking work and then proceeded to mock me for necking my wine. And then the next night at Rick and Sarah's, she introduced herself to me. What's the fuck? Lots of drinking took place over these last few days. Then the next journey commenced, a drive to Napier. It was okay, quite a 30s movie feel, camped up, then set off the next day to Lake Taupo and Rotorua. I like Rotorua, and today I went to the thermal village. I stayed 2 nights here, then headed to Mount Maunganui via Hobbiton. Stayed in Richard Taylor's holiday home for 1 night.
Who's Richard Taylor?
I don't know, something to do with what's
Wetter,
yeah. Wish there was smell-o-vision. Getting the tent up and down is getting easier. Glad I had a trial run at the beach house. Couple in Mott. What's the difference between Vegemite and Marmite? Answer. One's English, one's Oz.
They're way more different than that. Way more different than that.
You can discuss that afterwards. Visited Lake Rotorua, lots of hot springs, trying to be careful with my money. Would like to see more Maori history, but it's so expensive to visit, so I'll have to come back. I think my dad and Sheila would love it here. It's quite lonely. It's nice to explore new things with people. Sometimes I don't want to engage. I want to talk normally to my friends, not traveling stuff with people. Did not appreciate drunk girls in Rot at 3 a.m.
That's right.
Rotorua.
Huh.
Think it's going to rain right now. May vacate to the TV room. Ready to go home. Feeling a bit jaded.
Well,
there we go. The end.
So
again, it's not very exciting, is it?
But still, kind of feels like you're on Team Andy.
Wow, I have just seen him. I haven't seen you. I phased you out, babe.
Yeah, I know.
So
totally comfortable.
I think that was probably because I thought it was anticipated that it was going to be strange,
awkward.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of those things is that I make up a million stories in my head, and I still do it now.
Been since you'd seen him?
I don't know. That's a maths I can't figure out right now.
Well, like months.
Months, yeah. Well, February. Yeah.
You went in October, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh.
4 months. I don't know. Yeah, so that was it.
So Marmite and
Vegemite.
Any Aussies want to?
I don't think I've ever tasted Vegemite, if I'm honest.
It's a very different consistency.
Is it?
It's a bit more paste-like than Marmite's kind of.
Well, I mean, to be clear, the difference is one is English and one is Australian. So,
well,
you know, they were right.
There is that. I'd say there's more.
It's quite lonely, and I think I do find that when traveling is that I'm happy to travel on my own. I'm happy to sit in a bar on my own, but there's something about sharing an experience with somebody else.
Totally.
Like looking at a view and
yeah, there's that film Into the Wild, and at the end of it, like he's trying to run away from society the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, nah, fuck it. And he's kind of trying to live in Alaska on his own. And I think it was made up. I don't think it was actually in the bloke's actual diary. But he said something like, something along the lines of life is better when experienced with somebody else.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably true. I'm kind of, all my traveling is probably, do you know what I mean? I've loved taken trains across
India.
India and whatever else, but
Mm.
and traveling around New Zealand a big chunk on my own. But at the same time, as you say, having somebody else who you can sit and experience it with does kind of give it a bit more. I don't know. It kind of maybe just means a bit more. I remember in India, I had some friends say, "Oh, when you go up to Rajasthan, you've got to go and ride a camel in the desert. Like it's the best thing. It's so good. You just get and basically ride out into the night. You camp overnight, then you ride back the next day." I was like, "Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I'll go do that." So I went and did it on my own. And so I think there's 2 or 3 girls had done it together, and then I went on my own. So I had a guide who spoke no English, and me, and so it was a bit like. I mean, it was stunning watching the sunrise and the sunset across.
Amazing,
was unreal, but you know, it would be it's not the same as when you're just doing it on your own, sitting with someone who speaks no English. And you're just a bit like, oh, I've got fucking 4 hours till I've got to go to sleep or something. It's kind of like, whereas I think if you're in those situations where you're doing it with somebody else, like, you know, riding a camel's pretty hilarious because they're like,
you just have to learn to laugh at yourself.
You do, yeah, you do. But I mean, that's fine. But like you say, I think getting more out of it when you do it with somebody else, you can be in those uncomfortable places with a grumpy camel and you can laugh about it at the time. Whereas if you then come back and you try and say, "Oh my God," and someone who's never done it before is just going to be a bit like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think, there's definitely that thing of making the most of getting to travel with somebody else. And I think,
but then sometimes they get on your tits, don't they?
Do they?
Tune into our podcast.
If you're just listening to that, then not watching Jen and I just made some faces at each other.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that's it. Jen's journals.
Yeah. Was there anything else? It might have been it. Just this woman at the beginning.
Oh, the nurse who told me she didn't want to talk about fucking work and then introduced herself to me the next night. Who was necking her wine then?
I was going to say.
Who was necking their wine?
Clearly, she had already necked hers before you turned up.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think that's probably it for Jen's journals this week.
Thanks.
I'm sure it'll all kick off.
It'll probably just end abruptly.
Yeah, probably. She'll just have finished. And I've
not even journaled this trip, guys.
No, Jen needs
shocking.
Shocking. Maybe we should both journal it from our own perspective.
Thanks, cool. Guys. Lots of love.
A wonderful week. Don't forget, if you've listened to this, go listen to this week's episode as well. This week with Patrick McEwen. If you're listening to this out of order, these came out on the same day. So, and if you haven't, please do go and rate and review on Apple and subscribe and follow on Spotify and stuff. It means a huge amount to us. And it really helps us to look like we know what the fuck we're doing. And so when people go, "Oh, who are these people? Do I want to go and do their podcast?" It looks like we're really popular. I know we're not, but we can at least look like we are. That's all we have to go for. So cheers, guys. Have a good day. Cheers, guys. Bye.